The cold Chicago wind scattered flakes of snow across the empty streets. People clutched warm coffee cups as they rushed to their offices, cars humming down the icy roads. But in front of Hope Hart's orphanage, one sight remained unchanged for years: an old woman with a face carved by time, eyes once bright blue now faded with years, stood silently at the gate every morning at 9 a.m., holding a worn thermos in her frail hands. Locals called her Old Margaret. Some of the children sweetly referred to her as Grandma Maggie. But she rarely spoke. She never went inside. She just stood there, staring at the orphanage gates as though someone long lost might return through them, someone she'd been waiting for. Emily Jones, a newly hired social worker at the orphanage, had noticed her from her very first day. Emily had recently moved from Los Angeles to Chicago, young, compassionate, and deeply committed to healing others' wounds. One frosty morning, she stepped outside and gently asked, "Why don't you come inside? It's freezing out here." Margaret gave her a faint smile. "I'm not here to warm up, dear. I'm here to keep a promise." Emily was taken aback. "What promise?" Margaret gazed up at the cloudy sky and softly replied, "One only a mother can make." Years ago, Margaret had been a nurse, strong, devoted, and kind. She served during the Vietnam War, tending to wounded soldiers. After the war, she settled in Chicago with her husband. They had one son, Liam. Liam was a dreamer with a tender heart, but life didn't treat him gently. His father died suddenly. Financial burdens mounted. Struggles piled on, and eventually, addiction crept in. One day, Liam vanished, leaving behind just a short note. "Mom, I'm too broken. When I can put myself back together, I'll come home. Until then, don't try to find me." Margaret searched endlessly: hospitals, shelters, rehab centers, even cemeteries. But Liam had disappeared. 20 years passed. Then, one day, a homeless youth mentioned seeing someone like Liam near Hope Hart's orphanage years ago. From that day forward, Margaret came to that gate every morning, waiting in silence. She believed, no, she knew, that her son would return. A mother's heart never lets go of hope. Now emotionally invested, Emily began digging into the orphanage's old records. She reached out to local hospitals, homeless shelters, anyone who might know anything. Days turned into weeks. Finally, she came across a 2006 incident report: an unconscious young man, around 18, found near the orphanage. He never gave a name, but had a small tattoo on his wrist. Emily's heart skipped. Margaret Miller, Margaret's initials. She intensified her search, combing through homeless support systems and city records. Eventually, she tracked down a man going by the name Luke Monroe. Emily brought him to the orphanage. The moment Margaret saw him, her breath caught in her throat. She stared, tears already brimming. "Liam," she whispered. But the man, Luke, or perhaps Liam, looked confused, lost. "I'm sorry," he said softly, "have we met?" Emily explained. "He had a traumatic accident years ago, possibly a hit and run. After that, he lost his memory. He doesn't know his name, his past, anything." Margaret was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled gently and said, "Then we'll help him remember, together." Day by day, Margaret showed him pieces of the past: childhood photos, his favorite old toys, voice recordings, drawings, even the goodbye note he once left. She told him stories. Of the night he had nightmares and crawled into her bed. Of his love for chocolate chip pancakes. Of how he used to say, "I love you, Mom," every night before bed. One afternoon, she gave him a small wooden box. Inside was a broken toy train. He held it carefully. A flicker of emotion crossed his face. This is mine," he murmured. Placing a hand over his heart, he whispered, "I know you, Mom." Margaret's tears finally flowed freely. Yes, sweetheart. I'm your mom. Days later, the winter sun warmed the orphanage garden as Liam, Margaret, and Emily sat on a bench. Birds chirped above as the wind softened. Liam looked at Emily, gently holding her hand. If it weren't for you, I never would have found her. You didn't just reunite a family. You brought me back to myself. Emily smiled through tears. It was your mother's love that pulled you back. I just helped open the door. Margaret held both their hands and whispered. Not every mother gets her child back. But I kept believing, even when the world told me to let go. And now, I have him again, stronger, gentler, and even more beautiful. Together, they founded a small non-profit, Hope of Memory. The organization helped others living with memory loss, reconnecting them with their families, their identities, and their humanity. And every morning, Margaret still came to the orphanage gate, not to wait in silence anymore, but to smile. To remember. And to give hope to those who still waited. Because what she once waited for, had finally come home.